Imagine a world where human ambition soared to unprecedented heights, where technology promised mastery over nature itself. That world, in April of 1912, built a marvel, the RMS Titanic. For decades, the story of its tragic end has captivated us, a chilling reminder of both human ingenuity and vulnerability. But what if we could peel back the layers of time, not just to recount the facts, but to truly experience those final sunlit hours before disaster struck? What if we could use the power of artificial intelligence to reconstruct, with breathtaking fidelity, the very last moments aboard the unsinkable ship? Today, we embark on a journey powered by advanced AI, meticulously piecing together historical data, survivor testimonies, and engineering blueprints to bring the Titanic back to life. This isn't just a retelling, it's an immersive exploration, allowing us to witness the grandeur, the hopes, and the unsuspecting peace that permeated the vessel just before its fateful encounter. We're not merely observing history, we're stepping onto its deck, feeling the vibration of its mighty engines, and hearing the distant strains of music carried on the Atlantic breeze. Our AI reconstruction begins not with the collision, but with the vibrant pulse of life that filled the ship on the afternoon of April 14th. The North Atlantic Ocean stretched endlessly, a vast, calm expanse under a clear, star-dusted sky. Aboard the Titanic, a floating city of dreams, thousands of souls were living out their unique stories. From the grand, sweeping curves of the first-class dining saloons to the bustling, hopeful energy of third-class quarters, each deck held a universe of human experience. These were not just statistics, they were individuals, each with their own tales, their own reasons for crossing the ocean. There was Captain Smith, on his final voyage before retirement, a seasoned mariner commanding the most magnificent vessel ever built. There was Thomas Andrews, the brilliant chief designer, walking the decks, ensuring every detail of his masterpiece was perfect, perhaps sharing a quiet moment of pride in his creation. And then there were the passengers, prominent figures of society, their lives a tapestry of wealth and influence, middle-class professionals seeking new opportunities, and countless immigrants, eyes wide with the promise of a fresh start in America, their meager belongings packed with dreams. The air buzzed with conversation, laughter, and the gentle hum of the ship slicing through the water. Children played on deck, oblivious to the grandeur or the looming danger. Couples strolled arm in arm, envisioning futures together. In the lavish ballrooms, orchestras played, their melodies echoing through the opulent spaces. This was a microcosm of society, a floating world where class distinctions were clear. Yet all were united by the shared experience of this monumental maiden voyage. No one, not Captain Smith, not Thomas Andrews, not a single one of the thousands aboard, could have truly conceived that this magnificent journey, this pinnacle of human achievement, was hurtling towards an unimaginable end. The very notion of the ship being unsinkable was deeply ingrained, a testament to the era's boundless optimism and faith in technological progress. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. The very notion of the ship being unsinkable was deeply ingrained, a testament to the era's boundless optimism and faith in technological progress. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Now, let's immerse ourselves further into the context of this grand voyage, truly setting the scene aboard the Titanic. Imagine stepping from the bustling docks of Southampton onto a vessel that redefined luxury and scale. The sheer opulence of the interiors was breathtaking, a testament to Edwardian extravagance and meticulous craftsmanship. The grand staircase, with its polished oak and wrought iron balustrades, soared through several decks, crowned by a magnificent glass dome that bathed the space in natural light, a true architectural marvel at sea. Everywhere you looked, from the a la carte restaurant with its French-inspired decor to the Turkish baths offering exotic relaxation, every detail was designed to transport passengers into a world of unparalleled comfort and sophistication. Yet, beneath this glittering surface, the rigid class divisions of the early 20th century were unmistakably present. The Titanic was not just a ship, it was a floating society, meticulously structured. First-class passengers enjoyed lavish suites, private promenades, and exquisite dining. Their days filled with leisure and social engagements. Second-class accommodations, while not as extravagant, still offered a level of comfort and service superior to most land-based hotels of the time, catering to professionals, academics, and traveling families. And in third class, often called steerage, immigrants and working-class families, though in more modest and crowded quarters, still benefited from a standard of hygiene and food that was a significant improvement over previous transatlantic voyages, all fueled by the hope of a new life in America. This vibrant atmosphere, a fusion of diverse lives and aspirations, made the Titanic a microcosm of the world, propelled across the Atlantic. This era was a golden age for ocean liners, veritable technological marvels that symbolized human ambition pushing the boundaries of engineering. The Titanic, commissioned by the White Star Line, was the largest ship ever built, a pinnacle of industrial prowess. Its 3 enormous propellers driven by powerful reciprocating engines and a low-pressure turbine. It wasn't just transportation, it was a statement, a symbol of progress and an embodiment of human confidence in conquering the seas. The world watched with bated breath as it embarked on its maiden voyage, a journey that captivated global imagination and generated unprecedented excitement. Newspapers heralded its launch, celebrating it as the ultimate triumph of modern engineering. At the helm was Captain Edward J. Smith, a venerable figure in maritime circles, known for his calm demeanor and extensive experience. This was to be his final command before retirement, a crowning glory to a distinguished career. Overseeing the ship's every detail was Thomas Andrews, the brilliant chief naval architect from Harland and Wolff, who had poured his genius into its design. He was aboard, meticulously observing his creation, a silent guardian of its perfection. Among the passengers were luminaries of the age: John Jacob Astor IV, one of the wealthiest men in the world, Benjamin Guggenheim, a mining magnate, and Isidor Straus, co-owner of Macy's department store. These prominent figures added to the allure and prestige of the voyage, their presence underscoring the ship's status as a symbol of elite travel. The very notion of the Titanic being unsinkable was more than just a marketing slogan. It was a widely held belief, echoing through conversations on deck and in newspaper headlines. The ship's double-bottomed hull, its 16 supposedly watertight compartments, and the sheer scale of its construction fostered an almost mythical sense of invulnerability. This belief, born of technological pride and a desire for absolute safety, would ironically become one of the most poignant and tragic aspects of its story. It painted a picture of a journey free from peril, a seamless passage across the ocean, a testament to humanity's mastery over the natural world. Little did anyone realize, this very overconfidence would play a critical, albeit unwitting, role in the unfolding disaster. The stage was set. The grandest ship ever built was underway, carrying its precious cargo of human dreams and ambitions, seemingly invincible against the vast, indifferent ocean. Within this magnificent floating city, life unfolded in a dizzying array of experiences, each dictated by the invisible yet ever-present lines of social class. For the first-class passengers, the journey was a continuous procession of indulgence and refinement. Their days were a leisurely ballet, beginning with breakfast served in opulent dining saloons adorned with gilded paneling and crystal chandeliers. Mornings might be spent strolling along the private promenades, engaging in polite conversation, or perhaps retreating to the reading and writing rooms, their minds occupied with the latest novels or correspondence. The grand staircase, a true architectural marvel, served as the central artery of their world, a place for grand entrances and casual encounters, its polished wood gleaming under the soft light filtering through the glass dome above. Evenings brought formal dinners, where multi-course meals were served with impeccable precision, accompanied by fine wines and lively orchestral music. After dinner, the smoking room offered a sanctuary for gentlemen, while ladies might retire to the lavish reception rooms or the exclusive a la carte restaurant, a Parisian-inspired haven for bespoke dining. Bridge games, card parties, and dances filled the hours, creating an atmosphere of sophisticated revelry, a world apart from the vast ocean outside. The second-class passengers, A vibrant mix of professionals, academics, and prosperous families also experienced a remarkable level of comfort, often exceeding what they might find in many hotels on land. Their accommodations were tastefully appointed, if less ostentatious than first class, featuring comfortable cabins and access to their own dining saloon and promenade deck. For them, the voyage was an exciting adventure, a step up from previous transatlantic travel. They enjoyed well-prepared meals, live music in their own saloon, and the opportunity to socialize in a more relaxed, yet still refined atmosphere. Many were traveling to embark on new business ventures or to visit family, their aspirations reflecting the burgeoning middle class of the era. Their days were filled with reading, playing deck games, and engaging in lively discussions, a testament to the comfortable yet distinct societal tier they occupied. Further below deck in the third class lay the heart of another kind of dream. Here, the conditions were undoubtedly more modest, with communal dining areas and multi-berth cabins. Yet, compared to the cramped, unsanitary steerage conditions of earlier immigrant ships, the Titanic offered a significant improvement. For these third-class passengers, largely immigrants from Europe, the journey was not a luxury cruise but a momentous passage to a new life in America. Their hopes and dreams were palpable, almost tangible in the air. Despite the more Spartan surroundings, there was a sense of shared purpose and camaraderie. They ate hearty meals, often sang traditional songs, and spent hours on the aft well deck, gazing out at the endless horizon, imagining the opportunities that awaited them. Children played games, families huddled together, and conversations buzzed with stories of the old country and visions of the new. This was a community built on optimism, a collective yearning for a better future, a poignant tableau of human resilience and ambition. Beyond the passengers, the intricate machinery of the ship's operation was upheld by its dedicated crew. From the engineers toiling in the immense fiery engine rooms, ensuring the colossal power plant ran flawlessly, to the stewards and stewardesses attending to every passenger's need, each played a vital role. The lookouts stood vigil in the crow's nest, scanning the horizon, their eyes the first line of defense against the unknown. The officers meticulously navigated the ship, their expertise guiding the behemoth across the Atlantic. The band members, a small ensemble of musicians, provided the soundtrack to the voyage, their melodies weaving through the grand spaces, oblivious to the tragic role their music would soon play. Every single person, from Captain Smith to the lowliest stoker, was part of a complex, well-oiled machine, each performing their duties with precision and dedication, contributing to the seamless flow of everyday activities on board. Dining, socializing, games, and the simple pleasures of the voyage filled the days, a vibrant tapestry of human experience unfolding on the grandest ship the world had ever seen, sailing majestically towards its unforeseen destiny. Yet, as the Titanic sliced through the calm, starless waters of the North Atlantic, an unseen menace lurked ahead. The journey, while outwardly a picture of serene luxury, was punctuated by a series of increasingly urgent warnings that, in retrospect, painted a chilling forecast. Throughout Sunday, April 14, 1912, the ship's wireless operators received no fewer than 6 ice warnings from other vessels in the vicinity. These were not vague advisories. Some specifically detailed large ice fields and even icebergs. One message from the steamer, Miss Saba, explicitly stated, "Much heavy pack ice and great number large icebergs, also field ice. Weather good, clear." This vital intelligence, however, never fully reached the bridge. The sheer volume of non-essential passenger telegrams, combined with a lax protocol for relaying such crucial information, meant these warnings were often misplaced, dismissed, or simply not given the gravity they deserved. Compounding this oversight was the prevailing ethos of the era and the immense pressure to maintain schedule. The Titanic was not just a marvel of engineering. It was a symbol of speed and efficiency. Rumors, though unconfirmed, suggested Captain Smith had been encouraged to push the ship's speed, perhaps to arrive in New York ahead of schedule, garnering even more publicity. Whether true or not, the ship maintained a brisk 22 knots, nearly its top speed, through waters known to be treacherous. This decision was undoubtedly influenced by the widespread belief in the Titanic's unsinkable status. Why slow down for ice when you were aboard a vessel that could defy any natural obstacle? This overconfidence, a silent antagonist born of human hubris, became a potent factor in the unfolding tragedy, blinding those in command to the very real and present danger. High above the deck, in the crow's nest, the lookouts, Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee, peered into the inky blackness. Their visibility was severely hampered. There was no moon that night, and the sea was unusually calm, creating no telltale whitecaps at the base of icebergs that would normally betray their presence. Furthermore, a crucial piece of equipment was missing: binoculars. They had been misplaced before the voyage and never replaced, leaving the lookouts to rely solely on their naked eyes in the vast, dark expanse. It was a critical lapse, a small detail that would have monumental consequences. At approximately 11:39 p.m., Fleet's eyes finally caught a glimpse of something darker than the surrounding night, a massive, dark mass looming directly ahead. He immediately rang the crow's nest bell 3 times, the signal for danger ahead, and telephoned the bridge, shouting the fateful words, "Iceberg, right ahead," on the bridge. First Officer William Murdoch immediately ordered hard a starboard to swing the bow away from the obstacle and full astern for the engines, but it was too late. The sheer size and momentum of the ship meant it could not turn quickly enough. Just 37 seconds after the warning, a shudder ran through the Titanic. The massive iceberg, like a colossal silent predator, scraped along the starboard side of the hull, below the waterline, for approximately 10 seconds. It wasn't a head-on collision, but a glancing blow, seemingly less catastrophic than it was. AI reconstructions of this moment reveal the terrifying extent of the damage. 6 separate narrow gashes were ripped into the ship's hull plates, totaling nearly 300 feet in length. These weren't gaping holes, but rather structural failures where rivet seams burst, allowing the frigid Atlantic waters to pour into the first 6 watertight compartments. Initially on board, there was confusion, then disbelief. Many passengers felt only a slight jolt, a vibration, or a distant grinding sound. Some thought the ship had merely brushed against a smaller object, or perhaps dropped a propeller. In the lavish dining saloons and lounges, conversations paused momentarily, but then quickly resumed. Thomas Andrews, the ship's designer, was summoned immediately to the bridge. Captain Smith, a seasoned mariner, instinctively knew something was terribly wrong. As the initial reports filtered in from the damage control teams, a slow, chilling realization began to dawn. Water was rushing into the forward compartments at an alarming rate. The unsinkable ship, the pinnacle of human ingenuity, had been mortally wounded. The initial reactions of disbelief and mild curiosity soon gave way to a dawning sense of dread as the true gravity of the situation began to unfold, transforming a mere incident into the prelude of an unimaginable catastrophe. The extent of the damage, initially underestimated by many, was quickly becoming horrifyingly clear. The Titanic was designed with 16 theoretically watertight compartments, a feature that contributed significantly to its unsinkable reputation. The engineering marvel was built on the premise that it could stay afloat even if 2 or even 4 of these compartments were breached. However, the iceberg's glancing blow had proven far more devastating than a simple head-on collision might have been. Instead of puncturing 1 or 2 compartments cleanly, the impact had created 6 separate breaches along the starboard side, tearing open the first 5 compartments and partially compromising the 6th. Water was not just seeping in, it was gushing relentlessly into the ship's bowels, overwhelming its pumps. Thomas Andrews, the brilliant and meticulous ship's designer, was quickly escorted below deck to assess the situation firsthand. His expertise was unparalleled, his understanding of the Titanic's structure absolute. What he saw in those flooded compartments was a grim confirmation of the worst fears. With water pouring into so many forward sections, the ship's bow would inevitably pull down, allowing water to spill over the tops of the supposedly watertight bulkheads and into subsequent compartments, one by one, like an overflowing ice cube tray. His face, usually alight with the pride of creation, was now etched with a profound and terrible understanding. Returning to the bridge, his grim prognosis delivered to Captain Smith was chillingly precise. The Titanic, the ship he had poured his life into, was doomed. He estimated she had, at best, an hour and a half, perhaps two, before she would succumb to the ocean's embrace. The unsinkable was, in fact, sinking. This stark reality brought into sharp, tragic focus another critical flaw: the lifeboat problem. Despite being the largest and most luxurious liner ever built, the Titanic carried only 20 lifeboats, enough to accommodate approximately 178 people. This number, shockingly, was less than half of the ship's total capacity of over 3,500 passengers and crew. The prevailing regulations of the time, outdated and based on tonnage rather than passenger count, had deemed this sufficient. Furthermore, the immense size of the Titanic itself had contributed to a false sense of security. Many believed that in the event of an emergency, rescue would arrive long before a full evacuation was necessary. The lifeboats were seen more as a formality, a mere accessory, rather than a vital necessity for every soul on board. Now, in the face of imminent disaster, this colossal misjudgment spelled certain death for thousands. As the gravity of the situation became undeniable, the order to uncover the lifeboats and begin evacuation procedures was given. It was a scene of escalating chaos and desperate hope. The protocol of women and children first was immediately implemented, a chivalrous but deeply flawed directive in such a frantic situation. On the boat deck, crew members, many of whom had received minimal training in lifeboat drills, struggled to lower the massive vessels. Some lifeboats were launched half-empty, a tragic waste of precious capacity, either due to confusion, a lack of communication, or the understandable reluctance of some passengers to leave the perceived safety of the massive ship for the small swinging boats in the dark, freezing expanse. The initial belief that the ship was merely damaged, not sinking, also played a role in the hesitation to board. The disparity in survival rates across different classes quickly became a brutal testament to the societal divisions of the era. On the upper decks, first-class passengers, with their direct access to the boat deck and the immediate attention of the crew, had a significantly higher chance of securing a place in a lifeboat. Second-class passengers, though also with reasonable access, faced more competition. But for the third-class passengers, many of whom were immigrants traveling below decks, their plight was dire. Navigating the labyrinthine corridors, often locked gates meant to control movement between classes, and a lack of clear instructions, many never made it to the upper decks. Their hopes for a new life, once so vibrant, were now dissolving into the icy waters of the Atlantic, a chilling illustration of how social hierarchy could dictate one's very survival in the face of catastrophe. The clock was ticking, and with every passing minute, the ship listed further, its magnificent bow dipping lower into the frigid abyss. As the Titanic's bow dipped ever lower, and the reality of its fate became undeniable, a profound human drama unfolded across its listing decks. In the midst of the chaos and the creeping dread, moments of extraordinary heroism and heartbreaking despair painted the final canvas of this tragic night. Perhaps the most enduring image of courage from the Titanic's final hours is that of the ship's band. 8 musicians, led by Wallace Hartley, stood on the boat deck, instruments in hand, playing hymns and popular tunes. As panic mounted and lifeboats scraped against the hull, their music was a beacon of calm, a final defiant act of grace against the encroaching terror. Survivors would later recount how the strains of "Nearer, My God, to Thee" floated across the freezing water, a haunting melody that transcended the fear and offered a moment of shared, solemn comfort. This legendary act wasn't just about music. It was about maintaining dignity, offering solace, and facing the inevitable with unwavering resolve. A testament to the human spirit's capacity for beauty, even in the face of annihilation. Beyond the band, countless individual acts of heroism emerged from the unfolding disaster. Crew members, despite their own impending doom, worked tirelessly to guide passengers to lifeboats, often sacrificing their own chances of survival. Engineers remained in the engine rooms, keeping the lights on and the pumps running for as long as humanly possible, ensuring that the ship had power until its final gasping moments. Their selfless dedication allowed more time for evacuation, a silent, unseen battle against the elements fought deep within the ship's bowels. Passengers, too, displayed incredible bravery. Stories abound of husbands refusing to leave their wives, brothers helping sisters, and strangers offering their seats in lifeboats to those they deemed more vulnerable. Benjamin Guggenheim, a prominent American businessman, famously changed into his evening wear, declaring, "We are dressed in our best and are prepared to go down like gentlemen." His words, though perhaps tinged with a tragic resignation, echoed a certain stoicism that characterized many in their final moments. Yet alongside these inspiring acts, the raw, visceral struggle for survival was brutally evident. The freezing water of the North Atlantic, just 28 degrees Fahrenheit, was a death sentence in itself. Hypothermia would claim lives within minutes, and the sheer number of people plunged into its icy grip was overwhelming. The panic, once contained, now erupted as the ship's angle became steeper. Screams filled the night, mingling with the groans of the dying ship. People clung to anything that floated, deck chairs, pieces of wreckage, even each other, in a desperate, futile search for safety. The limited number of lifeboats, many launched under capacity, now seemed a cruel mockery. Those who had secured a place in a lifeboat could only watch, helpless and horrified, as the drama unfolded before them, the sounds of despair echoing across the vast, dark ocean. The ship's final plunge was a spectacle of terrifying grandeur. As the bow submerged, the stern began to rise majestically into the night sky, revealing the massive propellers that had once driven the colossal vessel. The immense stress on the ship's structure, designed for horizontal sailing, proved too much. Survivors described a series of loud, thunderous roars like giant tearing fabric as the Titanic broke apart between the third and fourth funnels. The forward section, already inundated, sank quickly, while the stern section, briefly righting itself, remained afloat for a few more agonizing minutes, its lights still blazing, before tilting vertically and sliding beneath the waves. This dramatic AI reconstruction of the breakup, pieced together from survivor accounts and later wreckage analysis, reveals the sheer violence of the ship's demise. The sounds were unearthly, the rending of metal, the rush of water, the cries of hundreds, perhaps thousands, of souls swallowed by the abyss. Then an eerie silence descended, broken only by the lapping of waves and the distant cries for help from the few who had made it into the lifeboats. The unsinkable had vanished, taking with it over 500 lives, leaving behind only the vast, indifferent ocean and an indelible scar on human history. The eerie silence that followed the Titanic's final plunge was eventually shattered by the frantic efforts of those in the lifeboats to locate and pull survivors from the frigid water. The rescue ship, RMS Carpathia, which had raced at full speed through the night, arrived at the scene hours later, discovering a chilling expanse of wreckage and a few scattered lifeboats. The sheer scale of the tragedy unfolded before their eyes, a stark testament to the ocean's unforgiving power. Of the more than 200 people aboard, only about 700 survived. The world reeled in shock, grappling with the unimaginable loss and the humbling realization that even the pinnacle of human engineering could be brought to its knees by nature. The aftermath was a period of profound mourning, but also intense scrutiny and a demand for answers. The inquiries that followed, both in the United States and Great Britain, meticulously dissected every aspect of the disaster. Witnesses, from surviving officers to first-class passengers and even some crew members, recounted their harrowing experiences, painting a vivid picture of the Titanic's final hours. These investigations brought to light critical flaws in maritime safety regulations that had been overlooked for too long. The insufficient number of lifeboats, a glaring omission, became a central point of contention. The regulations of the time, based on the ship's tonnage rather than its passenger capacity, allowed for far fewer lifeboats than were needed to save everyone aboard. Furthermore, the lack of proper lifeboat drills and the chaotic evacuation procedures underscored the need for standardized and rigorously enforced safety protocols. Out of this tragedy, however, came monumental and lasting reforms that forever changed maritime travel. The most significant outcome was the establishment of the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, widely known as SOLAS. This foundational treaty, first adopted in 1914, mandated crucial safety improvements. Every ship must carry enough lifeboats for all persons on board. Lifeboat drills must be conducted regularly, and ships must be equipped with powerful radios capable of maintaining a 24-hour watch. It also led to the creation of the International Ice Patrol, a service that monitors iceberg movements in the North Atlantic to warn passing ships. The Titanic disaster served as a brutal yet ultimately transformative lesson, ushering in an era of unprecedented focus on passenger safety. Over a century later, the Titanic continues to captivate our collective imagination. Why does this particular story, this one ship, hold such an enduring fascination? Perhaps it is the dramatic clash of human ambition against the raw power of nature, the stark contrast between the grandeur of the ship and the swiftness of its demise. It is a story rich with human drama, heroism, cowardice, class disparity, and the universal struggle for survival. The unsinkable myth, so cruelly shattered, serves as a timeless reminder of human hubris and the unpredictable forces that govern our world. The discovery of the wreck in 1985 by Robert Ballard, lying silently on the ocean floor, only deepened this allure, providing tangible evidence of the catastrophe and sparking new waves of research and reflection. The legacy of the Titanic is not just one of loss, but also of profound learning. It stands as a powerful allegory for the human condition, a testament to our ingenuity, our vulnerabilities, and our capacity for both great courage and catastrophic oversight. It reminds us that even with all our technological advancements, we are ultimately subject to the whims of the natural world. This story, passed down through generations, urges us to reflect on the fragility of life, the importance of preparedness, and the ethical responsibilities that come with innovation. As we observe the AI reconstruction of its final moments, we are not just witnessing history. We are engaging with a narrative that continues to resonate deeply, encouraging us to learn from the past, appreciate the precariousness of existence, and strive for a future where such preventable tragedies are never repeated. The Titanic's tale is a somber echo from the past, a call to mindfulness that continues to ripple through time, urging us to never forget the lessons learned from that fateful night in April 1912.